Welcome to the Answers Yes podcast, where we interview some of the most interesting people that have said yes to opportunities in their life. We hope that through these stories, you can learn to create your own destiny by saying yes along the way. Join us as we explore the new series covering topics such as passion, integrity, and hard work. I'm your host, Jim Riley, and I hope you enjoy these interviews as much as I do. I believe that everyone has an important message worth hearing. Hello, welcome back to the show. You know, pre-pandemic, well, way before that, I started my own business working from home. I guess it's been about 5 years. And I was encouraged by David Meltzer after I got out of the corporate world to start my own thing, business consulting, and a bunch of projects. I think I've got 8 streams of business right now that I manage every day. But one thing, as successful as I've been the last 3 years, and I've had a great 3 years, I just can't seem to get myself organized. I'm looking at my desk right now between the coffee cups, water, mail, business cards, stacks of paper. I've got my bow and arrow behind me because I'm getting ready for hunting season. I mean, my place is a mess. I really lack some organization. So when I was reached out to ask this guest to be on my show, and I started looking at what he talks about, I thought, I got to have this guy on. So I've got Lucas Root on the line today. Good morning. Thanks for calling in, Lucas.
Good morning, Jim. Thank you so much for having me.
Seriously, my place is a mess. And when I saw the discussion topics, working from home includes routine scheduling, planning, space management, the whole bit. I'm going, I need this guy,
Awesome.
So I appreciate you saying yes to our show. Hey, before we get started on some of the things that you do now as a consultant, can you tell us a little bit of your background, what you've done in the past and where you've been?
Yeah, I would love to. I spent 17 years on Wall Street doing mergers and acquisitions. I was the guy in the back end of the M&A, where somebody needs to figure out how to put the companies together. And sometimes they'll do that with their own internal change management teams. But most of the time, these now super large companies, the 2 companies that started out and are becoming some version of one company, they choose to bring in some outside help. And I was the go-to guy for a lot of the big mergers. It was fun work. It was really amazing. I got to sit in the room every single day with 5 or 10 people that are smarter than me, have more experience, have seen more, done more. It was extraordinary. Such a great way to learn. Wall Street is also a crazy frenetic environment. Like there is no stop. There's no version of stop. You don't slow down ever. It's like driving Formula One, except the race doesn't end.
Yeah, I can imagine. I was fortunate enough to ring the bell one day. We were advertising when I was at Cuddle One Vodka. I was the vice president there. We did a lot of advertising with Fortune, and somehow they had access, and we threw a big party after the close. But they let us ring the bell. It was kind of fun. But yeah, what a completely different environment that I've ever seen or been used to. And I realized that when you're sitting, around these, groups of executives and decision makers, it's not like being on the floor either. It's probably a lot more intense because, they're the ones pushing the guys on the floor.
It is very intense. And they're expecting excellence. And what's great is I was able to deliver excellence. I did it for 17 years before leaving of my own volition. I wasn't run off. But yeah, it's crazy. And that prepared me. It was amazing. That prepared me to be able to rebuild my life. I mean, truly rebuild it, reconsider every single piece of my life from a functional aspect. Why is this thing, this one little tiny thing, a piece of the way I go about my day? Why? If it's necessary, do I have to do it this way? And I really did re-engineer 100% of the way that I approach life from the ground up as I left Wall Street, because I came to the realization that I don't require a frenetic environment for me to be successful.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think we're attracted to that, by the way? And once we get there, like, wow, this isn't so fun. Although, there's some energy involved with it. Why do you think we're attracted to that type of environment in the first place?
I think it's cultural. Good question. I think it's cultural. I don't I don't have all the answers. I've spent some time thinking about it too, but yeah, I think it's cultural. I think our culture sets us up to want to be in an environment like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a little bit of an
And
adrenaline junkie syndrome, but at the same time, it's not very healthy.
that was very much true for me. I'm definitely an adrenaline junkie syndrome going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had fun.
So,
Um,
what steps did you go through to analyze, how you're going to restructure your life? I get that you say that to yourself, like, okay, I'm going to step back and I'm going to restructure, but how do you start that process?
mhm. I went down to, when I say the bare bones, I mean really the bare bones. What's the first thing that you do when you get up in the morning? If you're like most people, you probably take a shower. I went back to the taking a shower when I get up in the morning and said, is this what I want to do? Do I want to do it now at, first thing in the morning? Is that how I want to get my day started? There's no reason why I can't take my shower at 10 a.m. instead of at 5 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
What if I take it at 10 a.m.? How does that change my day? How does that change the way that my brain is processing things? And I found out that just moving my shower from 5 a.m. to some other time changed the way that my morning worked. Now, it didn't change my entire day, but it did change the way my morning worked. And I was like, oh, cool. I mean, this is cool. Just moving a piece from here to over here. Now, I did that professionally, so you'd think that it would make sense that doing that in your personal life would be easy and simple, and it's not. It's not easy. It's really, really hard to see the threads that you're building throughout your day in choosing where and how to put the pieces together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really hard. It's hard to do it from the inside. It's much easier to do it from the outside. It's much easier to see that when you're not inside. Turns out these big firms that were hiring outside help to put together their company, they're probably strategically making a very wise choice. It's a whole lot harder to see how to make this work from inside than it is from outside.
Hmm.
But I had to figure it out. I wasn't going to go spend the kind of money these firms were to get a me to come and redesign my life. I had to figure it out for myself. Move my shower, saw a change. I started moving other things. I moved brushing my teeth. I saw a change. Brushing my teeth, it's so small. It's such a tiny little nothing. Like, why would brushing your teeth change the way that your day works? But it did.
Can you give me some
It
examples
did. We
of?
made a change.
Can you give us some examples of what you exchanged that time with? So if you moved your shower to 10, what did you change? What did you do in the morning instead? Just to give our listeners an idea.
Absolutely. So I ended up building an entire morning routine, and I have realized when I first built it, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I now have a morning routine. I'm set for life. And I'll tell you exactly what it is. But I have realized that even that morning routine, I like to shuffle it around because different pieces happening in different places actually sets me up for a different kind of day.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes what I want is this kind of day, and sometimes what I want is this kind of day. So the way that my morning routine is now, I get up, I do some very, very light exercise, like some brisk walking. A walk is great. So I get up, I do 20 minutes of walking, and then I do 20 minutes of meditation. And then I do 20 minutes of nonfiction reading. So that's how I spend the first hour of my day every single day, day after day after day, every single day. Now, what I've noticed is if I take the 20 minutes of walking and I put it at the end, so I get up and I do meditation first and then reading second, and then the 20 minutes of walking third, I get a different day. That's not the day that I'm going for right now, but it is actually different.
I've made some subtle changes in my mornings, over the last several years. The first one being that I just wake up and be grateful by writing down things that I'm grateful for, but really resist the urge to pick up my phone. And
Hmm.
I've learned this. I know they all talk about, don't pick up your phone first thing in the morning or before you go to bed, because that one email could trigger your entire morning and the start of your
Hmm.
day. And I realize that, and sometimes, I'll blow it and I'll pick up my phone. Then that email will irritate me. I'm like, oh, I just blew my morning. I'm taking my kids to school and I'm already irritated at something else having nothing to do with them. So I love when you start talking about restructuring.
Mm, I love that. Yeah. It's true that not touching your phone helps. And anyone who's hearing this, please think seriously about ways to not touch your phone. When I built my morning routine, it wasn't to push back my phone. It was taking things that I was doing anyway. Nonfiction reading, I typically do in the evenings. Meditation, I typically did back then. I was typically doing a meditation and, say mid-afternoon when things sort of slowed down. People have the after lunch slump, and they're not sending as many emails, and then nobody wants to get on meetings, right? And I was like, that was a perfect time for me to go do some meditation.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I used to do those things. So when I started grabbing pieces of my day and dragging them and dropping them, to use commuter language, like I was dragging and dropping functional elements of my day into different spots, and I took this meditation, I put it right there in the first hour of the day. I noticed that created space for me to have creativity in the morning. Just in the morning, my super creativity bump doesn't last all day, but it created this super creative morning where ideas would just hit me all morning. And it was consistent. And I love consistency. Two, I love having ideas hit me. It's really energizing. It's like having ideas hit you is kind of like getting a workout. Like it really jazzes you up. And that's fantastic. That's what I want. I want things that hit me like a jolt of lightning and aren't coffee.
Yeah. True story. So you've talked a lot about routines and a little bit of scheduling. Talk to me about planning and space management, because that right now space management is my issue. I've got stuff everywhere, and I'm not normally
Yeah.
that person, but it just happens, and I think that we get in our own way sometimes.
100% true. First is your the I'm gonna use an analogy to talk about this. Most people played high school sports. When you play high school sports, you go into the locker room, you get changed, you go out, you do some stretching, and then you start playing. I would suggest to most people that your body is responding more to, one, the routine of going and getting changed, and two, this space change of moving through the locker room into the field. Your body is responding to those two things, and the practice of those two things very, very effectively. And in fact, those things are probably more effective at getting your body ready for the thing you're about to do than the warm up and stretching.
Hmm.
Interesting statement, really powerful statement.
Yeah.
If that's true, and maybe it is, maybe it's not, but if that's true, and I really do think it is. If that's true, that also suggests that we can use those same functional elements, move through the locker room, get changed, go out, do a little warm up, get stretching, and then start playing, right? And the functional elements that are sitting there is move through a space into a purpose designed space, a space whose only purpose is to do one thing. And so when you arrive there, you're really there only to do that one thing. And your body's like, oh, cool, I know what to do. Your nervous system's like, oh, cool, I know what to do. This I am prepared for. Let's do it. I'm ready. So move through a space, change your clothes into purpose aligned clothes, into a space that is, again, a purpose aligned space. Now, we can do the same thing with work. We can set aside a space for working that is specific to work alone, and never don't do anything else there. Don't go sit there, turn on email and start playing cell phone games, right? That now you've muddied the water a little bit, and your nervous system's like, now I don't really know what to do when I sit down in this chair anymore. You're sending me mixed messages. This is a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get into what I now call it my collared shirts, I now call them my productivity uniform. it's not my work clothes, it's my productivity uniform. And we have several different productivity uniforms. My collared shirt and slacks are my productivity uniform that I use to be productive while I'm in my workspace. And when I'm done with my workspace, I take off my collared shirt. I don't keep wearing it everywhere, because I want my body to know that collared shirt on means I'm going to be focused on this mega blue light generator and the keyboard, right?
Right. I'm
I
like,
say
yeah.
I say it a little bit tongue in cheek, but it's like this is the thing that we're going to do now. And the other piece of that I mentioned is that when you're in your workspace, that's only for working. And when you're doing something other than work, you get up and you move away from your workspace. And it continues to do this thing that I like to call greasing the groove. It's a phrase that I stole from weightlifters. Weightlifters use that phrase to talk about how your body gets really good at a specific motion as long as you do that motion over and over again. Well, this is a similar functional approach that I put on a collared shirt and I go into a space that is only used by me, at least for work. And now when I'm there, my body's like, okay, I'm good at this. I get it. I can do this.
I like it because I think, you're meant, by the way, I need to move my bow and arrow back down to the garage. It shouldn't be sitting at my desk. That's a definite sidetrack. But, I love this notion of getting into your workspace, putting on your work apparel. I've always been one for getting my work outfit on even when I'm working from home because, as you said, it gets your head in that zone. Although I do leave my collared shirt on the rest of the day, I understand the concept of changing your mentality, which makes so much sense. And I think you talk about, on your bio here about brain state management, processes and approaches, and these are things that you're talking about. Where else can we apply that brain state management to our business lives working from home?
If it's okay, Jim, I'd like to suggest that we take some of this approach and actually apply it outside of our business lives.
Yeah.
So when we go slump down on the couch at the end of the day, the couch is sort of a catch-all space. We go there to decompress from our day. We also go there to try to spend quality time with our husband or our wife or our kids. And now what I'm suggesting here is let's look at the couch and reconsider the use of that couch. Do we want it to be decompression space, like our own personal therapy for us couch? Or do we want it to be quality time with our family space?
Yeah.
That hits a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I was thinking about it. Yeah, it sure does.
When you start to reconsider the way that you use your space, the way that you approach the use of your space and your time, you start to look at things like that, the couch, and say, wait a minute now. I do actually want that to be me. And maybe the choice that people are making is, yeah, I do want that to be my decompression space. And I'll do my family quality time somewhere else. We'll go into the playroom and we'll play games, and people will stop slumping onto the couch to do their family quality time. And that is awesome. Make that choice. I'm with you. But let's look at these spaces. Another one, a really common one, people, set up their laptop on their dinner table. You're sending mixed messages, guys. Don't set up your laptop on your dinner table. Like, that's a mixed message right there. Is this special family quality time, or is this work time? Like, your body's like, I don't know what we're doing here. Like,
yeah.
Are we focusing on our spouse, or are we focusing on our job? And doing that sets you up for success for things like, and you brought this up already, for things like choosing when you want to have your phone in your hand. And that, I don't know about you, but when I realized that's a bolt of lightning, that's a jolt, that's a coffee cup right there. Oh my goodness. Like, if I stop bringing my laptop to my couch, I'm also going to stop thinking when I'm on my couch about my work emails, because my nervous system knows what to do. The couch is not for work, because this isn't where I take my work. and I'm not going to pick up the phone and go looking for that email. It's a totally different approach to choosing how to use your tools.
Now,
It's very, there are some other tricks too.
sure.
I mentioned that I do meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've done meditation a little bit, you start to realize that meditation can be a tool not just for trying to seek oneness.
Right.
It can also be a tool for doing things like loading up a program inside your brain. The irony is we are creators. We humans, we're creators. We're to some very small degree, we are gods, and we have a creation. This amazing tool, Jim, that you and I are using to communicate with each other 1,000 miles apart is a creation that we humans have actually dreamed up and created entirely out of nothing. It's amazing. And as we suggest God made humans in his own image. We also made computers in our own image. And it's funny to look at this little box and think, what is he talking about? He's a weirdo. It's true. I am a weirdo. The way that computers are programmed and the way that they run is actually very similar to the way that we run. Now, when you let that idea come into your head a little bit, that means that if you open up Task Manager and take a peek at it, Task Manager is going to tell you you've got, 150 different programs that are all running in the background in order for you to be able to use this box the way that you want to use it. Cool. What does that mean? Maybe we have 150 different programs that are all running in the background in our head in order for us to be able to interact with the world the way that we do. Cool. Does that mean that we can choose which programs strategically we want to be running? Yeah, it turns out that we can. And meditation is a tool that we can use to pick and choose the programs that are running. Now, my morning meditation is not about that. My morning meditation really has a very specific purpose. I want to encourage creativity. Well, I guess it is about running a program. I want to encourage creativity to come into my life and strike me like lightning. And it lasts most of the morning. But you can use much shorter 2 or 3 minute meditations where you just go into that brain space of I'm loading up a program. Just like your computer does. You press the little start button, you go into the programs, you scroll down a little bit, you find the program you're running, you click it and you load it, and it takes a little while to start coming on. Your brain works the same way. I'm loading up a program. I'm going to spend the next 2 minutes to load a program that sets me up for success mentally for an activity that I'm about to do. I stole this. I used to be a ski racer back when I was in high school. I was decent, but not great. Awesome sport, by the way.
Yeah.
So my coach used to we'd go to the top of the course and we'd every time you do a race, you get to actually go ski through the course, but very, very slowly. We call it slipping. You're moving the loose snow out of the way so that it's going to be nice and smooth. And you get to inspect the course and think about it. And then we'd go to the top of the course right before our run, and my coach would sit there and he'd grab you by the shoulders and he'd put our heads right up next to each other. And then he would say, close your eyes. And we did this every single run. So, this wasn't surprising. Close your eyes. And then he would talk you through the course. You're going left, you're going right. There's that little knoll. You're going down, you're passing Coach's Hill. There's the hairpin turn, real tight, boom, boom, boom. He was loading a program into our brain for the success of the run we were about to take. It was absolute freaking magic. Nobody else was doing it. And that particular coach, my coach, was creating people that were better than they should have been. I mean, it was fantastic. So I stole this from him, this little trick in high school that I forgot for a decade. And then I remembered. And I don't know why I remembered. Probably I did a morning meditation and it hit me like a bolt of lightning.
Right.
And you can do 2 or 3 minute real short 2 or 3 minute meditations to load up a program. And you can load up really cool programs like for the next hour, our brain actually understands short periods of time, not really long time, but short periods of time. For the next hour, I am going to be a world-class athlete at answering emails. Try it. Like, do a little 30-second mantra of, for the next hour, I'm a world-class athlete at answering emails. Close your eyes, get into a headspace where you're really allowing that idea to take root in your brain. Spend about 2 or 3 minutes on it, and then go answer emails and see what happens. Just like moving functional elements, like moving your shower around during the day, you're going to see that just that makes a massive difference in how effective you are at staying focused on answering emails. It's crazy. Now, you take that and you add to it some of the other things we've talked about. Sit down at the dinner table. Now, a lot of people actually pray when they sit down at the dinner table, which is great. It puts you into a headspace of being grateful for the food that you're about to receive. Add to that prayer, because that's loading up a program. Prayer is loading up a program. It's an amazing thing to do. Add to that prayer, add to loading up that program in your brain and say, not only am I grateful for my food, I'm also grateful for this quality time that I get to spend with my family for the next hour.
Mm. Awesome. And, your self-talk and where you put your mind, as you've already suggested, can alter your entire day for the benefit. I'll let you say it, but by putting these practices in place, it basically makes you far more efficient throughout your day when you actually go to the task at hand, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it really does. It opens up your mind to new possibilities deeper into the thing that you're doing at that moment, whether that's taking a little bit of downtime in between meetings, right? That is the thing that you're doing, and you can be efficient and effective at taking downtime in between meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And when you choose to be efficient and effective at taking downtime between meetings, it turns out that it becomes a highly productive time. It's not just slouching and decompressing. And don't get me wrong, I still slouch when I'm taking my downtime. I do. But it's not just that. It's really purpose aligned. And because of the fact that your nervous system gets used to the idea that you're going to tell it what's about to happen and it can respond, you get good at it and you come back refreshed and ready for that next thing. You're like, yeah, I took that downtime and I'm really ready now. And it opens up your possibilities to being able to be deeply in the moment. And it's not necessarily about being deeply in the moment, but we all know that's when true productivity comes, when you're deeply in the moment with the thing that you're doing. I'm in a meeting, I'm answering emails, I'm taking some downtime, I'm in quality time with my family, I'm sleeping. You can load up this same program that I talked about when you do your nightly prayer, or however it is that you begin your evening. You do some journaling, you do some nightly prayer, you say good night to your kids. All of that is a piece of, if you add to it, it's a piece of the elements of changing space, going through the locker room, changing clothes, right? Going from your school clothes into your athletic attire, and changing space, going into a purpose-aligned space, your bedroom, in order to be able to engage in this next activity. And it creates this deeply focused, and when you're deeply focused on rest while you're sleeping, trust me, it's so much more powerful. It creates this capacity to be deeply focused in the moment.
We've had a lot of guests on this show that talk about the strength of your mind and how you can put it to work. One of my key takeaways from what you've been talking about is creating that superpower for the task, like you talked about your coach. In your mind, I'm going to be the best at answering emails, or the best at working through my taxes, or the best at whatever that task is. And I love that mentality and that perspective, because I'm really good about making lists of what I need to do the following day. So when I get to my desk, I've got my list. But we all put off the tough things, or we know our least favorite things. But if I started my day with saying, hey, I'm going to be the best at pulling together the information for my taxes today, I'll approach it with a different mentality. Chances are I'll knock it out early and be proud of myself for doing it, But so I love that perspective that you're giving everybody.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's funny because I actually have to pull together my taxes today.
Well, there you go. When we get off this call, so it's top of mind for me too. That was not by chance I said that. Lucas, there's so much that we can talk about still, but we've run out of time basically, and I like to kind of dangle that carrot for people to reach out to you or your website or look at your materials, because I just think it's fascinating. People always look for that secret nugget, that magic wand to become successful, or that huge pay to play to become successful. And the reality is there's very simple ways that you can find your version of success in what you do every day through these types of exercises, and just rely on the power of your mind and processes like you've talked about today. You really could find happiness and success.
Beautifully stated. Absolutely true. I think of these little simple things. I think of them as a magic wand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a free one at that, right?
100% free. Absolutely.
Yeah. Lucas, where can people find you, or learn more about what you're doing, or get advice from you, or some consulting? I love the state of mind that you're putting people in.
Thank you. Yeah. Best place to find me is on my website, lucasroot.com. Super easy to find. I think people will probably be able to do that. Or if you're into social media, I'm very active on both LinkedIn and Instagram.
Okay. And I see your Instagram's LUCROOT. Is that your correct Instagram page?
That's the one. Believe it or not, Lucas Root was taken. So I went and chose to be at Luke Root on all the major platforms because Lucas Root was taken on Instagram.
I love it. Well, we'll put this in the show notes as well so people can see where your website's at. Thank you so much for giving us the time and just the insights to have some routines, strength of your mind, getting you in a great zone. It really is a valuable tool. I hope people don't overlook it, because it's not the first time we've had people on this show talk about that, but you put it in your own perspective, which I love. I'm going to become an expert at organizing my desk today. So I think I'm going to meditate on that when we get off the line and get this place cleaned up.
I love it. And I know you will.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for listening to today's show. It is my pleasure and honor to interview all of the guests that have been on the Answer is Yes podcast. If you have enjoyed the show, please go on iTunes and subscribe, give a rating, or simply tell a friend about the show. We also believe in the message of our guests and the positive influence of their stories. As my own mentor and coach, David Meltzer, has taught me, spend some time every day thinking and writing about the things in your own life that you have more than enough of. You will find out how blessed we really are. Please visit my website, livelifedriven.com, for the latest updates about me and what I'm doing. Plus, I post a monthly blog about the many topics on this show. This podcast can also be found there. As I learned early on in life, what you believe is what you will achieve. Thanks, Mark Victor Hansen, and thank you, and have a great week.